free world.
Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster.
Hail to the culture. We are back again, family. And it's not the season we hope for, but like all things that are constant, Hail to the Culture is back with another episode. And we're here to break down the season, man. We started 6-3, and we ended 7-9. Of course, this is Bryce, along with my main man, Rome. Rome, what up, bro?
What's up, man? It's good to be back.
It is indeed. It is indeed. I wish we had, a little better of a season. We were both hopeful at 6-3, and obviously we plummeted, man. We plummeted in a major way. So let's break it down, man. When we were 6-3, what had got us to that point? Let's start with that. Let's start with that, just to refresh the memories. We were playing a style of football that to some may be outdated, but for us it was a strategy that was working. We were controlling the ball, we were limiting turnovers, and we were being led by a quarterback in Alex Smith who wasn't taking risks, but was, I guess you could say, managing the game, but just putting the team in a situation to win. Rome, what can you say about that early game plan that we had that got us to 6-3?
Man, the early game plan, man, running the ball and counting on defense. We got to 6-3, basically playing small ball. I would say Alex Smith was the MVP leading up to that point. I mean, look at what happened when he left. Like you mentioned, we fell from 6-3 to 7-9. So without Alex Smith, we were 1-6. We managed to win one game without Alex Smith. So despite the fact he didn't put up big numbers and a lot of fans were complaining that the offense wasn't as flashy, I think he protected the ball and AP did the rest, and that was big, man. So regardless of how it looked, we were a winning team. I don't know if that would have been sustainable. The loss to the Falcons was a pretty bad one. So I don't know if that style of play would have worked against a team like the Saints or the Rams come playoff times. But the defense, what I would say about the defense up to that point is they have been very good, but not dominant. Not dominant in the way that if you're going to play small ball, you need your defense to be like a 2000 Ravens defense or 85 Bears defense. This year's defense was good, but not great. So I think that's what led to 7-9. And if you remember the last podcast we had, we were livid about this collapse. We were calling for heads, and it seems like we weren't the only one. If you've been paying attention to Twitter or social media lately, the hashtag Fire Bryce Allen has been all the rage with Redskins Nation.
Yeah, man. So let's fast forward a little bit from 6-3, and let's fast forward to where we ended up, man. Like you said, towards the end of the season, obviously we lost Alex Smith, and losing Alex Smith, we had a couple characters at quarterback. Well, I'm not gonna call them characters. Mark Sanchez is certainly a character, especially after the last commercial I saw. But Josh Johnson, he played his ass off. But neither of them were enough. And Colt McCoy, he ended up breaking his leg as well. And neither of those three were enough to really power the team where they needed to go, or at least be the constant force that they needed to at least continue, to at least go 500 in the remaining games. What can you say about those guys, man, in hindsight? And what did you see out of that?
The choice to sign Mark Sanchez was terrible. The choice to start Mark Sanchez was even worse. Josh Johnson did what he could with what he had. He did what he could with what he had. I mean, it was just one mistake after another, and then it just snowballed into DJ Swearinger getting cut. And as many Redskins seasons tend to do, it just ended in drama, which is what I think sparked this outrage from the fans. But what were your thoughts on that whole Mark Sanchez, Josh Johnson carousel?
Oh man, it was a joke, man. And like going forward, My guess is that Jay Gruden will always carry a third quarterback on the roster. I mean, we had Nate Sudfeld, and obviously now he served as the Eagles' third quarterback on their roster. But not to have a third guy that at least knows the offense. I mean, you see what that can do if you don't have it. You're going to the guys, at least a guy Mark Sanchez who clearly should have been in the league. So, that was just poor planning on the hands of the coaching staff. And DJ Swearinger, man, speaking out about things that he felt weren't right within the practice, within the practice schedule, within the locker room, with the coach's communication to the players. He spoke up about things, and he was let go. And in hindsight, I understand why they did it. DJ Swearinger was definitely one of their main contributors on defense this year. Rome, I know that was your guy, so that was definitely a big shot. But I mean, it just comes down to the Redskins with that move. To me, they were just trying to, kind of trying to flex their muscles and kind of trying to show that they're an organization that where the players should be accountable. But the week before, they picked up Reuben Foster, so it's just like you're setting two different tones, kind of, to your organization, and it's like you're forcing players to choose which one to follow, but you're kind of sending two different messages at the exact same time. So, we are where we are now, and that all culminates into firing Bruce Allen, or at least, the chance of firing Bruce Allen, which I personally could not agree more with. We'll definitely be getting into Bruce. We'll definitely be getting into Bruce Allen. We might have to have a whole Bruce Allen pod where we just break down his tenure, man, because if you just think about what he's done over these last few years as the, de facto GM and president, I mean, it just hasn't been too positive. It's been mediocre at best. And, I mean, how many Pro Bowlers has Bruce Allen drafted without Mike Shanahan? None without Mike Shanahan. So I guess maybe did RG3? No, that's Mike Shanahan. So, I mean, no Pro Bowlers without him. So it just goes to show you, like, Bruce Allen's not the guy that should be heading any organization. But here we are. And, now we're forced to deal with these consequences. Coaches don't want to come to coach in Washington is what it seems like to me. We had Greg Minuski. We kind of held him on the line. What do you think about the way they handled that, Rome? The way they handled Greg Minuski?
Yeah, so the Greg Minuski thing was a little strange to me. D'Angelo Hall did come out and say that he had an interview for DB coach, and that Minuski was in the meeting for that. So I don't know if they were trying to say, like, Minuski was in meetings for position coaches for the defense, but it definitely seems strange if he's a defensive coordinator interviewing other defensive coordinators for a defensive coordinator. But, Bruce Allen, man, we will have a whole pod coming on that. You guys are going to need to hear that, so stay on the lookout for that. Because Bruce Allen, man, it's a strange thing, man. It's a strange thing. But we got other coaching changes, though. So there's some positive coaching changes. They did promote Kevin O'Connell, which is a Bruce Allen move that I can support. I think that's good. Gruden said that he wanted some changes to hear some different ideas for the offense, and that certainly can't hurt. I'm glad Gruden's open to that, considering that this year he'll probably be coaching for his job. They also signed Rob Ryan to coach the inside linebackers. I think that's huge because the inside linebackers, me personally, I think that was our weakest spot on defense. So we got Tom Sula back to keep coaching up the defensive line, which is the strong spot, and the inside linebacker play has to improve. So, I mean, maybe Rob Ryan's the guy to do that. I know he hasn't been a super successful defensive coordinator, but maybe being a position coach, keeping it a little bit smaller, would be a little bit easier for him to rise up in the ranks. But it also says a lot about the future, because a lot of people are saying O'Connell could potentially be the next McVay. I believe Cooley might have hinted at that. And obviously Rob Ryan can coach a whole defense, so if things don't go well 2019, they may be hedging their bets a little bit and getting ready for 2020 with some of these coaching moves. But what do you think about these coaching moves, man? How do you feel about O'Connell and Ryan?
Yeah, man, you bring up I mean, I was thinking that same thing when I saw them make that move. The only thing is, like, that would be such a brash move to make if they really do believe O'Connell could be the next head coach, Ryan could be the next D coordinator, and to just have them in the current head coach. Yeah, and just to have them in the face of the current head coach and D coordinator, it's just another bold move by the Redskins. In the line of, this is what they do, I guess. But I mean, I do like Kevin O'Connell. He was kind of a bust in the league, but he apparently he's great with the RPOs, and that's where offenses are going. Can you design these RPOs? Can you make an offense simple enough for a guy to come in and learn it fast? Especially if you're talking about a young guy, which we may be having. We may end up with a rookie quarterback. If you got a young guy coming in, can you give him an offense that he can digest quickly, and then allow him to grow off of that? As far as Rob Ryan, man, I think that was possibly the best move they made of the offseason so far. I mean, if you think back, Rob Ryan, he's won a Super Bowl as an inside linebackers coach with the Patriots, so he's got that pedigree. And in addition to that, I mean, I just feel like he brings a certain fire that we don't really have. Well, I guess I say Tom Sula has it, but you don't have too much of it in the coaching staff. I like the fire that Ryan brings. One thing I will say, though, is his number one inside linebacker may be Reuben Foster. And what I will say is I think that's either going to be a match made in heaven or it's going to be a disaster. Those two guys' ability to mesh, that's Ryan and Foster, that could be the deciding factor of how good our defense will be in 2019. So we shall see how that works out. But I do like the moves. I do like both moves. I do approve of both moves of O'Connell and of Ryan. And we'll see how it works out. It would be interesting if they are, hedging their bets and making those guys, the hopefuls to land and to get the job. What kind of pressure is that on Jake Gruden if that's what they did? And that is what they're doing. That's just, man, they're a very bold franchise. But it'll be interesting to see how these moves work out. And so, hopefully they do work out. But with that said, we're going to need a quarterback going into 2019. And as of now, we got Alex Smith. Yeah, we've got Alex Smith broken leg. We've got Colt broken leg. Man, what do you think is going to end up happening with that? Who do you think, if you had to call it now, if you had to go to Vegas and put a bet on who will be the Redskins starting quarterback opening day, who would you go with?
All right. So obviously we have a lot to get to in this pod. This pod is probably going to spawn more pods because I still got more to say about the Bruce Allen thing. There's obviously a lot to dive into with this Alex Smith thing. We'll probably be talking about it for most of the spring and the summer until we get a guy in here. And even once we get that guy in here, I'm sure we'll have to dissect that guy left and right. So this will definitely be a running theme. But my early thoughts, I would say they need to get a quarterback via the draft. I think free agency is going to be a little bit too expensive. This is going to dive into some other issues because we were just saying the defense could still be pretty good with Ryan coaching the inside linebackers, but we're still going to need someone backside safety. So if they don't re-sign HaHa, which is a whole other debate, I don't know if they should, they shouldn't. There's some other safeties out there that are going to be free agents. So LaMarcus Joyner could be out there, Landon Collins, Earl Thomas is a name, Trey Boss is going to be a safety. You have to pay one of those guys. So you're not really going to have the money to pay for a quarterback. The quarterback's going to take up $15 million. Washington's not going to have that much. Some people are saying maybe you could cut Josh Norman, maybe you let Zach Brown go. So there's literally a bunch of different ways they could go right now. I think the smartest and best way to go is the draft. Because as far as the Alex Smith story goes, I'm going to do something for the website for Good Ass Sports. I'm going to write a little something up. But I think we've seen Alex Smith play his last down as a Washington Redskin. I think that they need to draft a quarterback not just for 2019 but for moving forward. Because at age 34 with that bad of a broken leg and all the infections and all that have happened, it might be time for Alex Smith to hang it up. I know a lot of people haven't really gone into that, but my opinion is I'm saying if I'm Washington, if I'm Bruce Allen, whoever making decisions, I'm getting a quarterback for the next 5 years, not the next one.
Right. And I agree with you, man. They got to start looking towards the future, and they've got to count on Alex not being available for this year and possibly long term. One thing I'll say is when they signed Alex, man, they put the guaranteed injury clause in his contract. So Alex Smith is signed on to get paid no matter what happens these next 2 years. The good thing about that is he's a warrior who risks his health, put it on the line for a game that he loves, and he's being rewarded for that. The bad side about that for the Redskins obviously what Rome kind of just outlined. It kind of handicaps the Redskins, in making future moves. And in addition to that, they're gonna eat that money regardless. And their only option, that the way they could maybe not eat some of that money, is if Alex was to retire, and maybe the league would give some sort of grievance on that. But Alex Smith's not retiring with all that money left on the table, and he has an injury guarantee. So we can pretty much count that dead money for the next couple seasons, and they're going to have to work around that. You bring up a great name, man, which, when you start talking about the defense a little bit, and Landon Collins. That's my number one target for the Redskins. I mean, we seem to get one every other Alabama player. Why stop now? Why not get Landon from free agency? Tag team him up with Ha-Ha if we do decide to keep Ha-Ha, who they obviously have a wealth of experience together. And, we'll really be the Washington Crimson Tide if we did that. But Landon Collins is a special safety.
If we do that, that means we're gonna have to draft a quarterback, right? So you saying we're drafting a quarterback? Yeah.
I'm down to draft a quarterback personally, man. And I've started to do my tape review on a lot of the quarterbacks. And I'm not overly impressed, but there are a couple guys I'm impressed with. I mean, there's a couple guys I would take. One being Kyler Murray. I love Kyler Murray's his game-breaking ability. You got to like that potential. You got to possibly a Russell Westbrook mixed with a Patrick Mahomes. He's a little smaller than both guys, but I think he has a much livelier arm than Russell Wilson, and he's obviously much more mobile than Patrick Mahomes. So I do like what Kyler brings to the table. And then you got to look at a guy like Dwayne Haskins. Maybe possibly we had to trade up for Haskins, but when you look at the numbers he put up at Ohio State, and you give him a young offensive coordinator like Kevin O'Connell, tag team with Jay Gruden, man, that could be something special if we get Dwayne Haskins in here. So one of those two guys would be my main targets.
Yeah, man, I would have to agree with you, man. I like how you're setting up this defense, man. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about this more, though, because we got a lot to come with this quarterback issue and the free agency issue. But, yeah, I mean, you guys heard it here. Like, it's much more likely that we'll go find a quarterback via the draft than sign a Teddy Bridgewater or whichever quarterback may be out there as free agency, Ryan Fitzpatrick, so on and so forth. But let's move on, man. You want to jump into let's talk about the future here, man, the future of this NFC East. So the Cowboys, unfortunately, won the division. But who would you say has the brightest future moving forward, though?
Man, this is such a tough question because so many things are up in the air. I mean, you look at let's start with the Cowboys first. You gotta if you're a Cowboys fan, you gotta like what you saw this year. You guys won a playoff game for the first time in however many years. You guys looked like a team. When you got Amari Cooper, you looked like not just a complete team, but a complete offense. With Zeke chugging the ball, Amari Cooper going for 200 every other game. You got to like that if you're a Cowboys fan. The number one question for the Cowboys going forward will be, is Dak Prescott really the answer? Because it seems like they're going to give him that huge contract, over $100 million. And once he gets locked into that, I mean, there's no looking back. There's no looking back if he gets the $100 million contract. And once they do that, it's Dak or bust for the Cowboys. And I'm not sold on Dak just yet. Moving on to the Eagles, man. You gotta like what you've seen from the Eagles, but the big question is, can Carson Wentz stay healthy? Carson Wentz hasn't proven he could be healthy, and now it seems like Nick Foles could possibly be leaving the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's been there, get out of jail free card these last couple seasons. Can Carson Wentz stay healthy? Yes or no? That's the number one question for the Eagles' future. And honestly, man, the Giants' future is kind of bright. I just got to be honest because Saquon Barkley, that's the offensive rookie of the year, however you want to slice. And then you got Odell Beckham Jr. Evan Ingram is looking like he's making that ascension into being one of the top tight ends in the league. The only thing they got to answer is the quarterback. But if they can get their hands on a guy like Kyler Murray, man, that could be scary. And that could be one of the brightest futures, in the NFL right there. So that's how I'm kind of looking at the rest of the division right now. What do you think?
I would agree with you, man, on most of those points. I would say Dallas and New York definitely have the brighter futures. If you're a Giants fan, you got to be excited about that Odell and Saquon. And once you guys get a quarterback paired with that, I mean, whoever it may be, it's going to be hard to fail with a team like that. You mentioned Ingram as well. The Eagles, man, yeah, like you said, the only concern really would be who's backing up Wentz with Foles leaving, because Wentz hasn't proven he can play a full 16 yet. And, I mean, that would leave us with us, which when you look at it, it brings you right back to that hashtag, fire Bruce Allen, because I think the main reason people feel that way isn't necessarily because of the things that he's done that hasn't worked out, as much as the things that he's done that are just complete head scratchers. And yeah, we'll definitely get into that when we have a Bruce Allen pod, because it's hard to even say, is the future bright or is it meek? It feels bleak, but I don't think it's as bleak as it feels. But I also don't think it's as bright as Bruce Allen would have us believe. He said in an interview that this team is close, and I mean, I'm sure everyone watching didn't see a team that was close to winning the division or making the playoffs. In my opinion, they didn't look very close, even with Alex Smith in. I mean, they looked like they could have came away with the division with Alex Smith, but like I said earlier, I didn't think they were going to compete. But I would say right now we have the least brightest future of all the teams in the NFC East.
Yeah, I unfortunately would have to agree, man. I mean, for a second there, it looked like we had a bright future, but right now, man, we definitely have the least brightest future. But as we know, as the league has shown us year in and year out, it's a league of parity. And in one season, you can literally go from having the worst future to the best future in your division or even in the league. Just look at the Rams turn around. So, I mean, it doesn't take a lot of time in the NFL these days. And hopefully, you know, we get this thing turned around. It's going to start with a strong offseason, that's for sure. So let's keep it moving, man. Looking back on the year that was, you know, the Redskins season, let's jump into some Redskins MVP. Rome, who was your Redskins MVP for the season?
I would give it to Alex Smith just because of his impact. We went 1-6 without him. But since he didn't play the whole season, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Adrian Peterson. It's tough, but I'm going to give it to AP because he was probably the most consistent player on offense all year. And without him, I don't think we would have won very many games. Who are you giving it to?
Yeah, man, I would have to agree. Adrian Peterson is the MVP of the Washington Redskins. You know, he proved all the doubters wrong, man. And you got to love it. If you're a fan of football, if you're a fan of redemption stories, if you're a fan of the underdog, which is amazing to think that AP was coming in the underdog, but he was. People had counted him out, and the dude showed that he had a ton left in the tank. And it would really be a crime if we don't bring Adrian Peterson back next season. So hopefully we do that. So moving to the defensive side of the ball, who was your defensive MVP?
Well, my defensive MVP is no longer with the team, and that would be one DJ Swearinger. No, I'm playing. I'm going to give –
He had a strong case. He had a strong case.
Yeah, he had a strong case. He did fall off towards the end of the season, though. He was playing like an all-pro the first half, and he wasn't as great the second half of the season. I'm going to give it to Jonathan Allen, though, and I'm going to give it to him not entirely because of his play on the field. He was great at times, good at others, but I think his leadership is what earned him the MVP. He showed himself to be a true leader, and he's going to be a staple of this team for years to come. What are your thoughts on defensive MVP?
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with John Allen. You got to love the way he stepped up as not just a vocal leader, but on the field too. Got to respect that he's a guy that the young guys can come in and respect going forward and look up to going forward. But I got to give it to the showstopper, man, Ryan Kerrigan, man, because I'm not going to lie. I had a lot of harsh things to say about Kerrigan early in the season, and boy, did he turn around his season in a big way. Ryan Kerrigan, man, the dude proved me wrong in so many ways this season. And it's good. It's just good to see that we have, what I would consider a blue-chip guy on our team, man. I mean, ended with 13 sacks. I mean, I think in the first 5 games he only had, maybe like 2 or 3 sacks. And it was looking like, it wasn't really looking too good. I was thinking, like, what's going on with Kerrigan? When is he going to wake up? He actually only had 1 sack. He had 1 sack in the first 4 games. And, finished with 13 for the season. So that's the Kerrigan we know and love, man. And hopefully Ryan Kerrigan continues to play at that pace, and we don't see a drop off. He's only 30 years old, still young and still a leader on the team. I still don't see how he's not a captain on the defense, but, something's got to change. That doesn't make any sense. But, yeah, man, I got to go with Ryan Kerrigan for defense. So let's keep it moving, man.
Oh, no, go ahead. You got it.
Nah, my bad. I was going to say, let's just keep it moving, man, with a few more awards. I guess not so much awards, but we'll go with the rookie grades. Honestly, man, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't upset with the rookie class as some people were. So let's run through it, man. First round pick obviously was Deron Payne. What grade do you give Deron, Rome?
I would give Deron a B, man, a solid, or really a B plus. I think he was incredible at stuffing the run. He took on a lot of double teams, and he definitely showed that he has some pass rushing ability as well. I believe he had about 4 or 6 sacks. I don't have it in front of me right now, but he did pretty well rushing the passer for interior lineman. I'd say the only thing he needs to improve on is now that he can take on the double teams, he's got to just beat them routinely. But I would give him an A or a B plus, but real close to an A, real close to an A.
Yeah, I think I'd have to give him a B myself. One only reason, this is what I'll say. Early season Deron Payne, man, that dude, it was crazy, man. Early season Deron Payne was ridiculous. Later season Deron Payne is down. I'm not gonna say he fell off, but NFL is 16-game season, and it's a long season, and he was getting a lot of snaps early, in the middle of the season, and late in the season. He's getting a lot of snaps. And it seemed to wear on him just a little bit towards the end of the season. I didn't see the same dominance I thought I saw early. Didn't see the same jump, the same get off off the ball I thought I saw early. But he was definitely the Redskins' best rookie. And, B plus is a solid grade for Deron Payne. So let's keep it pushing. Second round, we had – and then another thing people got to think about is when you're giving grades, right, Deron Payne, obviously that's our first round pick. If we got Deron Payne, let's say his production in, let's say, the 7th round, we would obviously both give him an A right now. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
we got him in the first
this is based
round,
off in the first round. Yeah.
Exactly. You get him in the first round, you got to judge him accordingly. So for a first round pick, he gets a solid B plus from both of us. So keeping him pushing. Round 2, obviously we had Darius Geis. His season was cut short before it really got started, but he did show some promise early. In the preseason, at least. So for that, I'm gonna give him a C plus, just for what he showed me in the preseason. Because I know he's gonna come back strong.
Comeback Player of the Year, 2019.
Yeah, man, that's something for anyone that's looking at our future. Thinking it's a little bleak, as we both agreed. Darius Geis is something to look forward to. All right, let's keep it pushing, man. Third round. We had Jerron Christian, offensive tackle out of Louisville, man. I'm going to be honest. I was impressed with Jerron Christian. I feel like a lot of people dumped on Jerron. He was thrown into the fire too early, obviously. I don't think they expected him to get starting reps this season. I think they expected him just to be a developmental project behind Morgan Moses and Trent Williams as they age. But, the young guy had to step in, and I personally was impressed. I was impressed because I did not expect him to do as well as he did based on what he did in the preseason. When he got in during the regular season, he didn't seem too overmatched. Yes, he had moments where, professional pass rushers were beating him with professional pass rush moves. But, that's going to happen with a young offensive tackle. To me, he showed the bend and he showed the athleticism to eventually be a solid contributor to an offensive line in the NFL. What do you think about Jerron? So, with that said, I would give Jerron Christian a C plus.
Yeah, I would give him a C. I wasn't too impressed. His season was cut a little short, but I wasn't like down on him either. So I think the future is still bright for him. I like what I saw.
Yeah, so I think we both agree on that. I mean, didn't expect much honestly, but he came in, showed a little more than what I actually expected. Let's keep it pushing. Troy Apke, safety out of Penn State, man. This is a guy who was a solid contributor on special teams when healthy, but he also got injured. And this game is a violent game, especially on this level. And he's just another guy that didn't show that he could stay healthy for the duration of the season. I'd have to give that pick, I'd have to give it like a D. I mean, he didn't stay healthy. He showed a little bit when available. but even when available, it wasn't much. He got in a little bit. He got a few starting. Well, he got a few reps with the first team, and he did impress in some moments. But his tackling needs work. That's one thing I do remember from watching Troy Apke. His tackling needs a lot of work. But he got the raw tools, man. So for that, I'll give him a C-. What do you think about Troy Apke?
I'll give him a D+. I didn't like what he brought to the table at the actual safety position, which is the position he plays. But he did a good job as gunner and stuff on special teams. But that's all I'm giving him is a D+.
Yeah, I feel that. All right, so let's keep it pushing. 5th round pick, man. I think this might have been my favorite pick that we made in this draft, and that was Big Tim Settle, D tackle out of VTech. I'm giving Tim Settle a B+, man, because in my opinion, when he was in the game, he was equally as disruptive in the pass game as Deron Payne was. Tim Settle is disruptive, man. I can't even remember how many times he got his hand on the ball in the tip pass. I think he had a forced fumble on the season. He was always in the mix in the middle when he got his reps. And as the season progressed, Jim Tomsula couldn't keep him off the field. He had to give him more and more reps because the young kid was earning them. I love Tim Settle. I love his potential, man. And this defensive line with Settle, Payne, and, of course, Allen and Ioannidis, man, it's going to be really something to reckon with down the line. So for that, I'm going to give Tim Settle a B+. So what do you think about big Tim Settle?
Yeah, man, I agree. Tim Settle, I'm going to go a little bit higher than B+. I'm going to go with an A just because he was the 5th round. The fact that we got him in the 5th round is ridiculous. That was a steal. He could definitely be a starter. So, I mean, that's another reason to be hype about the future because his defensive line is serious.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. Our D-line is finally looking like it's going to be something to be reckoned with. So let's keep it pushing, man. 6th round, we went with Sean Dion Hamilton. That's a guy I was impressed with this season. I can't lie, man. Zach Brown was pretty pissed that he wasn't getting the reps he thought he wanted down the stretch, at least the reps he thought he deserved down the stretch. But Sean Dion Hamilton, SDH, was a big reason for that, man, because that dude, it's clear his instincts just shine. He's not the fastest, not the strongest, but, man, on run plays, his instincts shine, man. Seems like he got a nose for the football. He got a nose for getting to the ball carrier. So for Sean Dion Hamilton, I'm going to give him a solid B. That's a solid pick in right around 6, and he's like he could possibly be a starter down the line. What do you think about SDH?
I'm gonna give Sean I'm gonna give him a C+. I like what he did. I want to watch a little bit more film on him, but because I've been watching a little bit, and he's been pretty impressive. But I like what he did when he came in. I kind of wish he would have got a little bit more time to play, but I'll give him a C+ for now.
Okay. So let's keep it pushing, man. Round 7, we went with Greg Stroman. VTech's been a school we've been digging over there a lot, man, in their talent pool. So Greg Stroman, cornerback out of VTech, undersized guy, man, but he was feisty in that slot. I like what I saw from him, man. He got beat a couple times early, but he never let it really get him down, man. He came back to fight every play. Greg Stroman, man, I'd have to go with a C+, man. You're talking about a round 7 corner who looks like he could be a viable slot option going forward. I mean, that might be a B- of a pick, honestly. I really do like Stroman. I'm going to go B-. What do you think about Stroman?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you and give him a B-. 7th round pick. I think Greg Stroman will start in this league one day. Greg Stroman will definitely be a starter in the NFL.
Yeah, I second that, man, especially in that slot, man. Greg Stroman's got a lot of potential. And round 7, Mr. Irrelevant, Trey Quinn. Man, I just wish Trey Quinn could have stayed healthy, man. Just one more guy from this draft class that couldn't prove to stay on the field. And limited time he did stay on the field, man. Trey Quinn proved he had hands. I will say that. Trey Quinn has hands. Like, if the ball is near him, he's going to catch the ball. He runs short routes very well. He get open in space. You got to love Trey Quinn, man. I like Trey Quinn and what he can bring into our slot receiver role going forward. We just need him to stay healthy. And if you can't stay healthy, I can't give you a great grade. So over there, I got to give Trey Quinn a C for potential, for what I know he can do. But if you can't do it, if you can't stay healthy and do it on the field, I just can't grade you high. But I do like what Trey showed. What do you think about Trey Quinn?
I'm going to give Trey Quinn a B, man. He impressed the hell out of me this year. I see a potential replacement for Crowder in Trey Quinn, but I agree with you about staying healthy. That's been a running theme, if you guys have noticed, with each of these grades. It seems like the season was cut short. I wish we could have seen more. So, yeah, we'll see, though.
All right, we got a couple more guys, man. Obviously, free agent pickup was Danny Johnson. For Danny Johnson pickup, I got to give that a B, man. Danny Johnson was a solid D-back contributor for us all season, and I definitely like what he can bring to the team going forward.
I'm going to give Danny Johnson a C-. He was decent at times, but I feel like he stole reps from Stroman. I like Stroman's potential a little bit more.
And last one would be Adonis Alexander. That's another VTech guy. We picked him up in the supplemental draft, and he looks like a guy that has some potential, man. He got here late, so we didn't play him too much, but I liked what I saw from him, man, especially on the special teams. He's a big, long body, and maybe we could morph him into a safety, go down the line. But Adonis Alexander in the supplemental draft, I'll give that pickup a C. What do you think about that one?
I'm going to give that one an incomplete because I didn't get to see him at corner enough. I think they should have played my man Adonis. I like the pickup. I like the potential, but I'm going to have to give that one an incomplete.
Yeah. It'll be exciting to see him in this upcoming season. So, keeping it moving, man. That's it for the player grades of the rookies, man. Overall, I say it was a decent rookie class. I wouldn't go as far as to call it good. I just go with decent, man. What do you think overall about the rookie class?
I think it was actually pretty good, man. I think overall I give it a B. I think it was a pretty good class.
Yeah, I'd probably.
It's still early to say though.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's keep it pushing, man. Let's go around the league. Obviously, it's a huge week in the NFL because it's Super Bowl weekend. We've got New England Patriots once again. Seems like they're there every other year, if not every year. And we've got the Los Angeles Rams, head coached by Sean McVay, former Redskins assistant. Rome, who do you see getting the W in this year's Super Bowl, man?
I'm riding with McVay all the way. Former Redskin coach, got to go with that guy. Plus, man, I'm sick of the Patriots, man. Like I've accepted that they make it every year, but I'm not accepting them winning it all the time. So I need somebody else to get this dub. Plus, I don't want my son cheering for Tom Brady no more. So let's see somebody else win this game.
Yeah, man. I would like to see Sean McVay get it done, but I can't go against the evil empire, man. I think the Patriots are going to get it done, man. I just don't trust Jared Goff yet, and I do trust Tom Brady because he's done it time and time again. So it'll be exciting to see that Super Bowl pan out, and we'll definitely be back at you guys with another episode as soon as Super Bowl is over. We'll be coming right back at you guys. Don't forget we got the Fire Bruce Allen pod coming. we got draft pods coming. We got a lot of stuff coming during the off season. Hell to the culture never stops. Rome, any last words, man?
Hell to the culture.
Free world. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff